the fact that you stopped my live. You know I was going to come back. I didn't go to sleep. I haven't changed my clothes. I'm about that life. So I've got some great, interesting news and a good discussion. So welcome to World War G. And I know many of you are shocked I'm here right now. But if you know me and if you're new to me, I'm going to reintroduce myself. I am Fleurbrun, and I am a triple Sag, and we can't stop, won't stop. When you try to interrupt my channel and try to take over my live, I will keep coming back like an Energizer bunny and keep going and going and going. So hold on, family. See, they thought I was passive. They thought I would just give up, but I came back. I hope you're up for the shenanigans. Check on in. Put a like as you step on the door just to let them know that we're about this life. So let me give you what's going on. It's World War G. This is your introduction to World War G. Take cover.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual Purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the Purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the Purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the Purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Peace to the east, west, and north, and the south. This is Fleurbrun coming back to you today after they tried to stop my feed earlier. So I thought I'd come on, a little impromptu without giving them any, I used to always like to come in and not give a scheduled time when I'm coming in, but I noticed as soon as I scheduled for my live, they prepare themselves for what may be coming out of a Sagittarius' mouth. One thing about Sagittarius that you can and sometimes can't appreciate is that when we bring it to you, we bring it to you raw. And if you like it raw, this is a channel that you're going to get unfiltered, I'm unbought, unwavered, and I'm about this life. And if anything pops off, Fleurbrun will be there, geared up and ready to go. So come on in. I got some decent news, and we're going to talk about World War G, World War Z, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we have a lot going on. Am I blurry? Can everyone see me? Put a 13 in the box if you can see me. They're going to cause problems, and they probably they won't give out notifications. And just make sure you can see me. Can you guys see me okay? Can you hear me? All right, let's get it in. So, listen, Willy Wonka and the League of Doom are absolutely insidious. Let me say something to your Mayor Cuomo. I think you're the most full-of-ish mother freaker that there is. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, my love. Thank you, fire signs in the house. Listen, Cuomo, please don't read Too Little Too Late. You're talking about getting your forces to be ethnically balanced. You're talking about, let's make peace. No, you clown. You should have thought about it before you allowed how many brown women and children to die under your administration. How many children have gone missing under your watch, sir? No, I think you're a little too late, Cuomo. I think your little theatrical verbiage that you read on the teleprompter is a little unauthentic to me, sir. I think maybe you should have been a little concerned about the people before it got to this point. Now you're upset because the people are fed up with your garbage and your BS. You're okay when a couple brothers got shot, when a little boy gets shot in the back, when little autistic boys like you see in the picture are getting arrested. You're okay with that, right? Don't you ever in your life try to appeal to us after the fact. This is like a murderer saying sorry after he just killed your family. No, we don't watch you. Another testament of a nasty, cowardly, another disgusting mayor is the mayor of Atlanta. You're another clown, miss. I don't care what kind of brown skin you have. You reading teleprompters, talking about bringing peace. Why don't you bring peace to the people? Why is it that you have so many chemtrails in Atlanta? Why do you have a plethora of homeless on your streets, Missy? Why do you have a lot of crime going on and a lot of unemployment that you can't even regard? Don't you tell people to be quiet when you were so quiet and complicit when everybody was unemployed and nobody can even pay their rent or their mortgage? Let me explain something. We're in World War G. If you wanted a Sagittarius, if you want to fire someone who's unapologetic, I ain't being bought, sold, or prostituted by any of these Willy Wonka central bank bastards. We need to stand up for ourselves. And sisters, my sea stars, you beautiful, wonderful sisters, you stand and guard your homes. This is where we're at. Don't let these clowns try to appeal to the heartstrings of BS. They don't care about you. Listen to Michael Jackson. He told you. They care about what money you drop in their bank account. What during the quarantine, did you see any federal officials have a lack of income? Did they take their income away and didn't say give their salary to everybody because they felt sorry? They could have conceded and said, you know what, we won't take our salary for a month so that we can share our income amongst the people who will suffer because we have them staying at home from a pandemic that we patented, you mother freakers. Come in the house, family. You shut my show down. I'm going to give you something to shut down. Let me explain something, Sea Stars. If I've never told you to protect yourself before, I'm telling you to stand your ground. For every sister in here, you go to, and if you're legally able to, and you have sound mind and spirit, you have a right to hold arms. You go and make sure you're able to protect yourself. The alphas aren't around as much as we would like them to be, so we will do it for ourselves. Stand for zero. Complicity isn't something we're going to tolerate anymore. And if you're going to sit there and be compliant and allowing for others to be disrespected and disregarded, you are going to go too. Welcome to the new paradigm. I'm sick of all the complicity in this world. Oh, thank you, John X. Yo, John, I'm on fire. Don't you ever in your life make a teleprompter after you killing, murdering massive amount of people. People can't even pay their rent. Cuomo's being asked, people can't even get money to pay for their mortgages and their rent, and you have no answer to them, but you want them to be calm and complicit. I'm sorry, family. As I've told you before, and I agree with John X on this, if you are legally able to bear arms, by all means, you need to go do so at this moment. You stand on your Second Amendment, and if they have a problem with brown folk holding arms, then let them say it out loud. Let them have to say that they don't want us holding arms and protecting our children. You stand there and you protect your sons, my loves. Don't you ever let an establishment put your children in harm's way. How many blue boys have to be shot in the back and these animals are in your neighborhood? If you don't like Negroes, why are you policing them, you bastards? And for all you nasty cowards calling police officer on brown people just living their lives, we've got something for you. See, the problem is you think we're all poor and complicit and we come from the hood. Oh, no, darling. Some of us have means and we have friends and higher standards. So for everyone who decides to call the cops on young brown people just being as they are, and any of you supremacists, lack of supremacy, decide that you want to stand and intimidate someone, we've got something for you. We're going to hit you in your pockets. Yes, family, I got a couple of nice phone calls right now from some really wealthy African diaspora. For any of you who decide to call the cops, if you intimidate any young people, and for any reason, we will sue you and your family. You worship money and you think that you're stealing of money and making people feel like they're lesser. We've got something for you. So for every phone call that we get, we are about to set up a system. So if you have anyone calling the cops because you're walking into your household in a neighborhood that's too nice for you, because remember, brown people shouldn't have nice homes and nice neighborhoods because we're all animals and criminals. So if you criminalized us, let's hit you in the pocket so we bring you to level. If you want to hit and disrespect people and think that you're better, by all means, let's make sure that we're going to bring it to your pockets. So if you're comfortable drinking your nice cup of Chardonnay, thinking that Tyrone and his wife shouldn't be in your neighborhood enjoying the same amenities, and you're going to call the cops when they have their music just a tad bit too loud, we will make sure that we fund a lawyer for every single person that is harassed. And for all the supremacists who think you're going to lay and intimidate people, we have some big alphas that have let me know that if you ever in your life think that we're going to sleep and lie down dead this time, you're madly mistaken. Make sure that you stand your arms. And I appreciate what John X said. You better make sure you go and pony up right now because we're in World War G. Don't let them appease to you. Don't let them sit there. Apparently, when we got our notification tonight that we here in Orlando had to stay in our houses. Orlando isn't even a problem. Why are you putting restrictions on those who haven't done anything? There haven't been an outrageous amount of tyranny going on in these neighborhoods over here. We haven't been picketing and burning up our neighborhoods. How dare you? How dare you put restrictions on everyone and place us on the same global reinforced martial law? I'm sorry, family. Come on in. I'm calm. Big up to pretty melanation. I do apologize if I'm yelling at you tonight. I'm very passionate, and let me reintroduce myself. My name is Fleurbrun. I'm from Mount Vernon, New York. I am a triple Sag, and I'm a woman of a certain age. I feel qualified and quantified to have this discussion. And I am here for the sisterhood. I am here to raise a flag and make sure that my sisters are strong and powerful, and they feel that they are able to protect their offspring. Their offspring. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I got some phone calls tonight. If I haven't changed my clothes, I still got the lipstick on. Come in the house. I'm gonna calm down a little bit. I'm gonna get some water, and we're gonna go into this conversation. Keep it coming. I have another C-Star coming on tonight. Woo! Fire in the yard, fire in the yard. We are in World War G. And if you don't know, I want you to know, you're about to find out. Hold on.
Hey, y'all. We're Zionist.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Okay. Hold on, I've got my C-Star contacting me on the other sec. Hold on. Okay. Where are you, my love? Guys, hold on 1 minute. I'm just going to come right back. I just want to make sure. I'm going to have a conversation with someone online. I'm going to give you some information. I have some wonderful, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it. I love you standing in truth, Ashe, Mother Queen. I appreciate it, my love. And let me say this. Thank you, Lynn. I did get a beautiful letter from Lynn. I did receive my letter. I don't get much going on in my post boxes. Once in a while I check it. She wrote me such a beautiful letter. I just wanted to say that I'm being a little calm right now. I'm trying to bring it down to a certain level. Thank you, Sha. I appreciate it. Thank you, my love. Thank you, Sha. Thank you. Thank you to the C-Star yesterday that also made a nominal donation on my Cash App. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I asked you for zero. We're here as a collective. I'm one of those mothers. I'm a mama bear, and I'm here for the shenanigans, and I'm here to protect those who need the protection. I have the strength, and I have the way to do so, and I plan to do so with integrity and balance. And I'm really tired of seeing the same thing going over and over again, and seeing your officials talk garbage to you and try to appease to your heartstrings, when meanwhile they sat idly and complicit. Oh my gosh, oh Elijah, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Elijah, I appreciate it. Thank you, my love. Thank you. It just bothered me listening to Cuomo talk. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to make the officers more accountable. Do you think as many deaths that have happened in New York City and multiple other cities that they don't know that it's happening. You know why they don't care is because the people that it's happening to have no money. They don't have any power. So it's very easy to rub that underneath the rug when those people have no power. So we're going to empower those people because now we're going to empower people with attorneys, young, beautiful, very strikingly incredible attorneys, so that every time one of you nasty mofos, any which way, we going to come for your pockets. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that every time you intimidate a young person and make them go through traumatic stress, that they have enough money to start a business and make sure you won't ever talk to them or talk down to them again. See, sometimes, what's the problem is that if there is what you allow for some will always come home to you. And when you do dirt for so long, you are allowed to do it under the guise that it is part of the regularity in the world that you live in, then you will now begin to receive the karmic residue that comes with doing dirty deeds. Yes, for years you got away with feeding little brown babies into the alligators in Mississippi. Many of you don't know this. So let me share some fun facts for those in United Snakes of America who aren't aware of the history of United Snakes. See, many people don't know what happens because they like to have a blind eye to the things that don't appeal to them. It's like me being a chunky woman and then not agreeing or always having being blind to what a thin woman has. So a thin woman could feel a certain way. Maybe she feels like she wants to gain weight. Maybe she feels like she needs to be stronger. But because I'm a thick woman, I can never really regard or really talk to what her struggles are. And then when I speak about her in a nasty way, you got to say to yourself, how would I know her struggle? How do I know that's not a problem for her? Because I've never walked in that walk. I've never walked in those thinner shoes. Do you understand what I mean? I bring it to that so we bring it out of complexion. But a lot of people have been allotted to know these things. So let me bring some fun facts because we have a beautiful wide range of everyone in here. Oh, thank you, Senator Angela. Some don't understand ancestors are speaking. Bring it, sis. I understand it. Thank you, my love. So let me bring some fun facts. Do many of you realize brown, lunar, green in between? Do you realize that many years ago in Mississippi, it was quite normal during days when there were actually slaves, and slaves weren't just the brown folk, because the brown folk were actually the indigenous, one and the same, which many people don't know a lot about. But I'm going to share some fun facts because I'm qualified to do so as someone who studied history, and I'm not from the United Snakes of America, so I actually have been taught proper history from a very removed position. Do you realize that little brown babies used to be stolen? Maids used to, these wonderful brown women who were enslaved would give birth to these beautiful babies, be happy and just so blissful that their new babies were being born. And as they slept in their beds, their babies would be stolen by sometimes the master, sometimes some of the cronies who were allowed to just walk in. And they would take these babies and they would tie a rope around their foot. Oh, I'm grateful. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, my love. Thank you, BLS. I appreciate it. Thank you. And they would tie a rope around these little beautiful newborn legs, and they would throw them into the swamp. And they would use them as alligator bait. The baby would be torn apart, partially, head ripped off, skin sometimes scathed, but these poachers were very happy to make sure that they had leather shoes and alligator shoes for the people in the neighborhood. And many people knew of this practice and did absolutely nothing because it was okay, because these people did not look like them. Let me give you another fun fact. Let's use another fun fact. Here's another one. Did you realize that many of the churches, that's why I have an issue with Christianity being promoted to those of people of color, because of this instituted racial improprieties that would occur. But did you know that many of the churches back maybe 60 to 70 years ago, one of the practices that many churches, and we have the extra documentation, so for those who think this is a joke, I can actually give you facts that are crazier than fiction. What if I told you that in churches, they would actually have wonderful, wonderful invitations of hanging a family, a brown family, child, father, and mother all together? They would have them, and there would be free lunch. There would be at lunchtime, all the wonderful people of this church would be invited. They would have it on the invitation, the picture of the noose and everything, and they would bring their children to view the amazing view of the beauty of hanging a woman while she peed on herself as she watched her son, her husband, die and be hung on a tree. At a church function that many of some of the ancestors of some of the people here had nicely enjoyed. Did any of you really know that? These are fun facts. Maybe you didn't know that. Did you know that a lot of times when young brown women, young, beautiful, virgin, young girls go into foster care because their mothers have been subjected to institutionalized drugs purposefully put in their communities by the CIA, Willy Wonka and his League of Doom, which are also eugenics. Their mothers were infiltrated by crack, and these young women, sometimes taken and ripped from their homes, would be sent into foster homes with known pedophiles who would purposefully rape these little girls over and over again under the guise that this was appropriate, and many in social system would know of these such improprieties, and these little girls would sometimes get pregnant, and the social system, rather than staining the reputation of the beautiful system of foster care, would have an abortion on a 12, 13-year-old of foster parents and take that child out of a home and put them in another and place other children to be victimized in this case. This is the United Snakes of America, so don't you ever in your life come to my channel and say I'm not qualified or quantified to feel as passionate and as very motivated to make sure that we have justice. Now, listen, if these aren't things, fun facts that you knew about, I am grateful to be the one to disseminate this information. And if you don't know, now you know. So when you walk around thinking that you're comfortable in your beautiful home, sitting comfortably, knowing that your children will be safe, and that if your son drives home from his fraternity a little drunk, and if his complexion is just a little lighter and his eyes are just a little brighter, that you know that he will come home safe to you. Well, let me state something else for those who may not have that privilege. For every little brown boy who drives home, whether it's a little chief in a system, whether it's a little bit of Hennessy that he's hung out with his homeboys, maybe coming from the same fraternity, very educated, very bright, if he's driving down the street and some of those KKK low masons that are working for the civil servants just so happen to see that he's happily living in a very well-established neighborhood because his parents actually worked well and aren't living in the hood and they weren't from the ghetto, but he shouldn't have that privilege to live in such an area or even think that he could drive with such happiness and peace. He perhaps may not come home that night. And if that child gets murdered, let me give you another fun fact. Most likely, there will be absolutely nothing done. And the perpetrators of such murders will be rewarded and given pensions and get to go home to their beautiful houses with their beautiful wives and their children safely in neighborhoods far, far away. Let's get into it. This is World War G, family. So when I tell our young people, our mothers, to stand your ground, you have a right to protect yourself. You have a right to have your children safe. Every child who's in this country should be able to live with the privilege of living healthy, wealthy, and wise. The fact that we have these savages living and working in corporate establishments that are purposefully working for the Zionists and doing Zionist business, we have to set our foot down. We could live for many years upset, disappointed, but you could die knowing and being martyred for making sure that your death wasn't in vain. We shouldn't fear it. I've been to the dark place. I've experienced the dark night of the soul as a mother, as a woman, as a wife. And you know what I saw in that dark place, deep, deep, deep down, when I was saddest and I felt most in fear and most unrealizing of what tomorrow would bring. When I was able to go past that pain and that sadness and that disappointment and that feeling of hopelessness, I saw that it really, at the end of the day, this was all a challenge, all a lesson, all a spiritual venture. Something that I needed to see and overcome and master. So I rose out of the ashes like the phoenix out of the ground. Many of you have been a party to this particular platform since I've been here in 2011 and even before that. And you've watched my journey, my struggles, my pain, my sadness, my growth, sometimes my falling, my problems, my celebrations. You've had a chance to visually see that. Before YouTube was a product of, social media in a heightened way, we came on here to share our experiences from a very pure point of view. We're in a very magical time, family, and I'm not sharing this to hurt you. For those who aren't used to hearing such true and raw words from a woman, especially a woman like myself, I'm sharing this from you as someone who loves her own children, who has lived a privileged life by two beautiful parents who love me, who came from another country, and who raised 3 children in a beautiful country that allowed for us to thrive, even under the circumstances. But unfortunately, for a lot of our friends and families and people we know, that hasn't always been the case for many, and it isn't righteous. There shouldn't be a time that you go to your B&B and you have a good time with your husband and the neighbors, because you're brown and you're copper, and God forbid you can have a good time and can afford to go and have a vacation for yourself, call the police, and the police decide rather than to vet it out, to come and terrorize you and put the fear of God in you, because how dare you walk outside and be able to enjoy yourself? How dare you? You're supposed to be a Negro. You're supposed to be a low, dirty, savage dog, butt naked in the jungles of Africa. We're not in Africa. We're here in the United States. Whether you wanted us here or not, many were brought here against their will. And the others that weren't brought here against their will had come from here, and the history has been rewritten so that even their native indigenous heritage has been stolen from them. How dare you question the motivation of someone wanting better for themselves? I question the motivation of your Willy Wonka. Every governor, every mayor is complicit in the murdering of massive amount of people under the guise of genocide. I charge them with treason and genocide, and we will now take our lobbyists, fanatical selves, and start to sue this government for what it's done. If you want people to live in tyranny and under traumatic experiences because you are savages and you are creating a savage system to appease to those who are disheartened and nasty and come from low breed people, we will sue your behind, and let's see it burn until you pay every dead president tree that you've ever had in your pocket. For every time you stole land from my native indigenous, we will make you pay. So rather than you protesting, family, why don't you take your time and your effort to hit them where it hurts? They worry about money and finances and cruise ships and federal prisons and having, they love to have galas and tea and parties and soirees and, like to show off their wealth and their esteem. Okay. Well, if you aren't going to allow others to live comfortably and peaceful and just have the same availability of growth as you, then we will charge you with genocide. Genocide has a wide range of criteria. And I'm pretty sure, and I've sat with my litigious attorneys, remember, Fleurbrun's about that life. And what most don't like about me is because I can't be bought. But the thing is, I know a lot of really powerful people that aren't fazed by the general insecurities of people who like to suppress others. So we will be charging Willy Wonka and his League of Doom with genocide. This will be a class action suit. I've had a couple phone calls tonight, that's why I'm here tonight, and we will charge the country with genocide. When you allow so many people to die under your guise and allow tyranny and allow sociopaths to run all through your civil servants as if that is something that should be commended and accepted, we charge you with genocide. We charge you with genocide against women, children, and men. We charge you with genocide for disallowing others to thrive while you make sure that others thrive on the backs of those who aren't allowed to be able to surpass their limitations. We charge you with genocide for allowing little brown boys to be placed into the the prison pipeline and be propelled into privatized prisons that you give them so that they can make more money off of the sadness and the hardships of those others. We charge you with genocide to allow for many people to be killed or to disappear or to be or their organs to be harvested without having any sort of representation or accountability. We will be charging this country with genocide, and I hope that everyone will join the part. This is, just like, your president, Trump had a right to say, they wanted Chinois to pay for the crimes against bringing supposedly the cucarachas here. Well, we have a problem with the people here. I have a problem with you. I live privileged, I live healthy, and I'm great, but you know what? One day I'll have a son, and I want my son to drive in a car and enjoy the amenities as he should. Every little boy, whether he's light, dark, or otherwise, will be able to sit comfortably in the future and feel safe that he won't be genocidally murdered because you have some scary civil servants that are actually working for low-field Masons that are actually part of the KKK. Now, let me state this because some of you think I overdo it a little bit. And remember, I won't get a lot of likes for this video because it will touch on the heartstrings of those who have subliminal biases, who aren't taking accountability for their part. What you allow for another, you bring to yourself. That's why the country is ablaze right now. When you're complicit in another being harmed, when you're complicit in other people's children being killed, when you're complicit of us going to other countries and killing mothers, pregnant mothers, women, elders, and that's okay. Remember, karma has a beautiful hot plate. And karma doesn't really have time. It doesn't really practice time. It just is a cylindrical kind of expression. So silence is banter for injustice. What you allow for one, you will bring to your own. So as you see, there's a lot of uncomfortability to everyone right now because the beta test happened for those before who experienced the tyranny, the harassment, the targeting, the murders, and didn't have a voice. Well, guess what? Everybody has a voice now, but one thing I know is when people are coming hard for you, you come at every angle for them. You stand on your square. Someone didn't like me saying that. They said it sounded very Mason. It's interesting that when a woman says it, when a woman of color says stand on her square, it frightens many people. Why? That's not a Mason term. I wouldn't be a Mason. I'm a woman. Why would that frighten you when I say to stand on my... Why does it frighten people when I tell women, especially women, all colors, to go and make sure you have, if you are legal and if you are healthy and you haven't any mental incapacitations, to go and practice your Second Amendment rights? Why would that bother you? I see several different people of all backgrounds being able to hold firearms, and actually they hoard. I'm from the prepper community. They've been hoarding ammunition for years. Why would that bother you? You know why that bothers you? Because the privilege of some is only allotted based on what is given, what they're able to do comfortably. Remember, it's supposed to be freedom for all, right? I thought it was that way, right? So why would it bother the United States of America to have all these targeted individuals that are being targeted by their own Willy Wonka systems to be able to stand their ground? So a little boy who's walking in the street, who's in his teens, walking home from his friend's house, is holding an arm so that if someone scary is accusing him or comes at him, he has a chance to live and make sure that he lights up who's trying to come for him. Remember, you have a right to protect yourself, and this is the problem. And please, Christian, let me talk to our brown Christians. Please, I know that you want to pray it away. I know that you think that Jesus Christ is coming to save you, and you think that he's your personal Christ and personal Savior. If Jesus Christ loves you so much, he wouldn't let your children be shot down like dirty dogs. Why are you practicing a religion that was enforced on your ancestry by means that were forms of tyranny? Why would you practice any uniformed religion that was enforced on your ancestors? And why are you wearing the mark of their symbol on your chest, the same mark that came with the genocide of your people? Why are you doing that? I'm thinking you're suffering from mental illness. And I don't think you're quantified or qualified to really be able to speak on my behalf. Listen, when you come to rationality and you realize that you've been victimized by forms of mind control and terrorism that has made you complicit to practice the very thing that has been forced on you, then we can talk. But please, lay back. Just stand to the side. Because we don't need you sitting in prayer, putting yourself in harm's way, because you're going to put us all in trouble. Some of you are so unrealistic. Just stand aside. I'm okay with the prayers. Stand aside and pray on the sidelines, but you're not about that life right now, because we're talking about real change. When you want some respect, you have to respect yourselves. See, the problem is, brown people, we have to overstand as a collective. When we aren't respecting ourselves, and I will talk to our males here, when you sit here and you leave your children's mothers, and you disrespect your mothers, and you aren't keeping your neighborhoods clean, and you aren't minding your children, you give others permission to disrespect you. Remember, how you treat yourself is how the environment will treat you. A lot of what we're getting is a repercussion of the lack of self-love within self. Remember, as within, so without. So when you don't love yourself, if you're not coming from a place of self-empowerment, if you aren't taking care of your own family dynamics and keeping your neighborhoods clean, you can't expect anybody to respect you. That's when we need to take responsibility. I take responsibility because I love my children and I'm a 24/7 mother. Love them, home with them, come to their school, everything. Everything they are, will be, I take full responsibility for, and I take that seriously. I make sure that I recycle every day. My neighbors think I'm a Nazi. I want them to live in a clean world, and I know for them to live in a clean world, I have to take responsibility in my household and make sure I'm not leaving dirt bombs or waste around for my grandchildren in the future. Okay? I make sure I'm responsible, that I speak to every neighbor, lunar, white, Asian, Arab, Chinese, everyone. I speak to them with respect, and I greet everyone as I pass with a smile and with respect. I'm not dishonoring another based on complexion, based on socio-economical backgrounds, nor based on nationality or tongue. So when I come to you, I speak from a valor position of integrity. Can everyone say that? This is the problem, because if we look into the background of some of these people that are being mistreated, you will see in their background that they have not loved themselves. They are suffering from self-loathing, and the environment is hunting them down and treating them exactly as they treat themselves. Teach your little boys to love themselves, even if it's going to make them lose their lives in that stance of strength. We have to raise strong boys. We have to. This world is not going to fare well with them. They see them as animals, monkeys, beasts. They put bananas on trees as if nobody else eats bananas. It's a disrespectful world when you have global pandemic of eugenicists that are basically promoting hatred towards certain people. Let's get it together. Self-love is the way that we're going to get respect, and how you tell somebody how to treat you is how you treat yourself. So if we're going to be heard right now, we need to stand on our square. We're going to stand on our square, and we will delegate to them how we want to be treated and how we will allow ourselves to be treated. When you come to me and my children, you come with respect, because I won't bow down to any system, any person, or any man that hasn't any respect for the respect that I am able to emit back outside. A lot of people get away with a lot of things because the system has been complicit, but the people have allowed it to occur for so long without doing more. Protesting won't do it. Burning down your cities is not going to do it. You burning down places, and I do agree that I heard one of these amazing bloggers. It was so beautifully said. Why are you burning down places that your grandmother has to go shopping? Why? We have elders who can't even make it out of their houses. Why would you do it if you were a sensible person? Why would you burn places that your children have to go and be able to get food or get things or supplies? Frustration is one thing, but have use a little bit of common sense. Martin Luther King, and this is going to offend. If this offends you, it is what it is. I'm not really I'm not really someone to hold my tongue. So, if it offends you, I just give you a pre-warning. So when it hurts you, it bothers you. Martin Luther King wasn't someone we should follow. The man allowed people to spit on his children and himself. That isn't a man. That's a wouse. My mate wouldn't allow you to spit on me, and you would have teeth again. Do you understand? There isn't any amount of self-respect that somebody could walk through the streets and allow people to throw rocks and dirt and stuff. There needed to be something done. That was a complicit movement to make people passive. Stop protesting. You will have the same complicity and the same role of methodical statements said, just like I heard Cuomo say, just like I heard the Atlanta mayor say. There won't be anything to that. Martin Luther King wasn't a leader. That's why in every hood where there's the most shootings, they put his name, and there's the most poverty where Martin Luther King's boulevards are. I haven't seen a Martin Luther King boulevard where it was flourishing and where it was doing well. You know why? Because he was purposefully set out there to create complicity in brown people, pushing them, propelling them further into forms of Stockholm Syndrome with Christianity. The man was having sex with multiple women. He wasn't a role model. I'm sorry if this bothers you. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm going to give it to you raw. This is where I come from. We need to start taking responsibility and start following our own lead, and stop following these MK Ultra leaders that they place out there to make you act in certain ways. I told people my children won't be celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. Why would I have my children have a holiday of a man that's been murdered? How many U.S. holidays do you have of people murdered? I just want to know how many, other than like Memorial Day and all that kind of stuff. I'm saying, how many holidays of people that have been executed and murdered that we have that are part of the system? Why would I want to celebrate that holiday, and why would I want to perpetuate that to my children? Are you insane? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I destroyed your peace of mind. Welcome to the oh, Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. One of how many brown people that haven't been enslaved. So anyway, family, I wanted to talk about World War G. I kind of wanted to get into the conversation that needs to be discussed. I want to encourage our young folk who are 21 and older. This is the first time you've ever heard me. I come from the prepper community. It shouldn't shock you. John X is also from the same community. We're about this life. If you are legally able to own a firearm, please do so responsibly and do so before they disallow you from doing it. You need to be able, there's a reason why the white supremacist Nazi groups are allowed to walk with policemen. If you notice I don't know if many of you noticed during the protests, and I don't know if you get a chance to notice this, that all, if not all of them, the Nazis, white supremacists, whatever you call them, they're not supreme. They actually feel inferior. People who feel inferior have to suppress other people. If I felt good about myself, I don't have to step on somebody's neck. When I don't feel good about myself, I may want to suppress someone because I don't feel good about myself. It's not supremacy. It's actually a defeatist personality that does those things. But anyway, I digress. Did you ever notice that they stand with the police and the military? Did you ever notice that? If you go to any, if I want you to take a look at out of all of the wonderful, the protests that many people, I don't know, like to do for kicks and giggles. You ever notice that they stand very comfortably with the military, but aren't they considered to be anti-establishment? What does that tell you, family? You know what that tells you? Those are their brothers. Those are their friends. Those men that they feel comfortable standing next to, that supposedly they are against because, those are their friends. Those are their Mason brothers that they go and do rituals with, and they sit and they drink and talk about all the brown women they've murdered and had sex with their dead bodies and then shipped her off for her organs. Those are the people. Okay, so I just want you to watch that, because sometimes you think that I'm always making things up. I always like to say this: don't believe anything I say. One thing with me, you will always hear me say repetitively: do not believe anything I say. Vet it out yourself. Vet it out yourself. Go find out why they feel so comfortable sitting with people if they're anti-establishment. Because the establishment is cohesive with them. They're in bed with them. They are one and the same. That's why you have little boys who are 8 years old holding a little rocket in their hand being shot in the head by two big men who think he's a threat. Okay? If you notice, I put the picture of a little autistic lunar boy that is being held in court for doing something and how that looks. That is a regular occurrence for little brown boys on a daily basis. Fathers, stay home with your children. If there's any accountability, why this is happening is because you aren't man enough to stay and raise your own children. And now, when your children are acting like beastlings, you're upset that this is happening. A lot of you beta males like to seed and walk away and let your children just be sacrificed to the system. You're the problem, and we don't want you around either. To be honest, if I had to keep it real, we don't want you around either. I mean, it's not a brown or lunar thing. It's a low breed thing. You shouldn't be around either. If you can't protect your children and the mother of your children, you're useless. You might as well be on the genocide side, where you should be removed and everything connected to you, so we aren't replicating those type of men again. I don't care what you say. I know you like to criminalize your baby's mothers, because remember, they were only quantified when you were sticking your wand in them, but they aren't qualified when they have your beautiful babies and you leave them to be fed to the wolves. You need to go. I'm sick of you worthless beastling non-males sitting around complaining. You're not in a position, just like I talk about the Christians who are suffering from all kinds of, mind control programs and Stockholm Syndrome. You need to go too. Don't speak. You aren't quantified to speak when you can't even protect your own offspring, and you leave them to fend for themselves, and these little boys are basically being led into the prison system to be raped by grown men. You need to go. I'm sick of you as well. And stop illuminating these men online, C-stars. Stop giving their platforms any If you know that he's a piece of work and he's left his children, you should make him feel like the dirty dog. See, this is where we need to put our venom on place. We need to put our targets on those that are unquantified to be here, who have allowed these things to happen. We wouldn't have as many dark things happening if we had men that stood up for their families, even if it was to their death. Warriors used to go down, knives inside and all, just to take one mother freaker out to protect his wife and children. Weak men stealing sneakers. You're weak. Stealing sneakers and shoes and jeans in a store. You're weak. Cell phones. You are garbage. Get off our planet. I'm sick of you looting because you're weak. A real man doesn't have to steal. He earns. I'm talking to you. I'm ready. We've got some qualified, beautiful alphas that told me they're on deck. It isn't a lot, but it's enough. Put those men aside, just like those mind control zoned people. We need qualified people to stand up in World War G. We're looking for real soldiers. We got the super soldiers in this house Stand on your square. Yes, I said square, and I'm not a Mason, you foolish people. You're prejudiced people. You're so racist. So intrinsically, you've been watching CNN, and now that you and your family are being affected, now you think that you're on the other side, but you really don't like other people. You only like you and yours, and it's okay. But don't speak on our matters. If you aren't okay with our children, women of color, men of color living happy and balanced and thriving, if that's not okay with you, then you need to go too. Every time you hear an educated brown woman, we're automatically part of something dark. Oh, I don't trust her. Oh my God, she sounds like she's educated. Oh my God, these brown people, do they have money? Oh my God, who gave her money? She's not struggling. She's not on welfare. Oh my God, she's a Mason. She's got to be a whore of a basketball player. God forbid. Her vernacular's too educated. She must have a penis. Maybe she's a transsexual. This is the type of garbage you hear. Oh, I don't trust her. I don't trust. You know what no trusting means? It's because inside of your heart and soul you have bias, you're prejudiced, you're garbage. You are one of those who came here and were okay to stick your foot on the neck of anybody so you and yours could be okay. But guess what? We're an even playing field. And now, the same thing that was allotted for someone that was poor and ghetto, it is now happening to everyone. Oh my God! Becky Budd is losing her mind. She doesn't even want to be in the house with her children. This is the problem. Let's get it. Start being more qualified and start being more accountable for your behavior. This isn't a game, this is a test. It's a spiritual war, and we are here to play it out. And I'm here for the shenanigans. I've prepared for this for a long time, and I'm prepping for my family to be just as qualified to do so. I know many of you have been scared. I know you felt a little disheartened. You feel like you don't know what to do. The only thing you should do in times like this is make sure you and yours are good. That's all you have to do. You have to do zero else. Make sure you can stand on your square. I love saying it. When it pisses them off, I love saying it more. Stand on your square, your cube. Oh, she's an occultist. Oh my God, the Negroes are cultists. Oh, she's wearing arms and hands to protect her and her family. She's a demon. Make sure you stand on your square and you can protect yourself. Right now, you can actually go and get arms. You have a Second Amendment right. If they have a problem with it, let them say it publicly. Let every person, and this is what I will say, every person of color that is healthy, who is, now mind you, Lunars, this is something that the Lunar community has always done. So if you notice, I'm speaking to brown people because that's something that they felt a little uncomfortable with because they always feel like they're going to be subject to being searched or so. You're already being searched! You're being searched already! You're being harassed! What does it matter now? Would you think not having it was going to be okay? What do you think by not having it you're safer? Actually not. Shoot, take your chances. Make sure you get qualified. Go to a range. You can't go to a range now. Practice somewhere safely. There's nothing to lose. Stand on your square. For every one of you sisters, and I'm talking to the women here, all colors, all complexions, all nationalities. I want my sisters to be prepared for what's coming because we can't rely on betas. Betas have sold you out for sneakers, shoes, for cryptocurrency, for side chicks. They've sold you out. Beta men are all about getting finances. They'll buy new cars with their stimulus checks. They spend their money on crypto. They're going golfing with their friends. They're spending it on cigars. These are betas. You can't rely on betas. They aren't qualified for now. Alphas are the only ones who are qualified for World War G. If you don't have an alpha in your life, then this isn't something we should discuss. Get yourself an alpha. If you don't have access to alpha, you take care of yourself, C-stars. Stand on your square, be unified and protected. You will have to do it on your own, and you can do that. We're in home court advantage as the matriarchy comes back online. You go into the store, you ask questions. I've done it myself. Be unafraid. You go, many of the military, the Navy the Navy, oh, hold on. The the gun stores, they're really wonderful. You can ask them questions, what's best for you. If you don't know, get a Taurus. I would say get a Taurus. Try to stay away from getting something so big it would overpower you. Make sure you do things safely. Do you understand? Every woman who's on this feed, and I'm talking to you as a mother, you should all be able to defend yourself on your own. Without a male, this is just you on your own. You have to be able to do it. So I'm saying if you are healthy, you are legally able to bear, you haven't any criminal record, I say to you now before they ban it, because they will, I will tell you to go and make sure that you are able to stand your ground. You putting fear in something will put that back on you. That is a right that we have here in the States. A lot of our European sects, they complain, they're so upset, and they wish that they had that privilege. It's a privilege we have here in the United States of America. So take that and take it. And if they have a problem with any brown people having and practicing the Second Amendment rights, let them say it publicly. Let them disclose their biases. Put them on Front Street. And for all my alphas, as many of you have contacted me, let me give us some big ups to all of our alphas. Listen, I made the video really, and it was just kind of out of frustration. I was really calling to our alphas. Let me state this to you. I love you. Y'all contacted me. My heart, I felt so relieved. They're here, y'all. They hear us. They hear us in our words. They're ready. They're tired. They're tired. They've been demonized. They've been subjugated. They've been jailed. They've been in prison. They've been talked down about because of their strong masculine ways. They're ready. They're ready. Big up to all our alphas. I'm really thankful to a few. I'll say big up to Lou. Big up to Eduardo. They've contacted me, and that's why I came to you tonight. I felt really empowered, and I felt like, wow, they heard us. They heard us. My words come from my sisters. Many of you have been with me. When I speak uniform for my sisters who are fearful. They're here for us. They are. And they're willing to put their life on the line to make sure that we're safe, our children are safe, and their families are safe. It's the first time I've heard that in a long time from others. It's a beautiful time when this unity is coming as such a magnificent, pinnacle point in our societal change. So let me say that. So we have some alphas coming out, and also I got some amazing phone call from some really important people. You know how President Trump will be like, they're important people, they're smart people. I'm going to sound like President Trump. I've gotten contact with by some smart people. Some really smart, educated, and very socially, economically sound. We're going to unify and put some respect back on our names here in the United States of America. So when people think it's okay to disregard you, your family, your children, and they want to vilify you, there will be a swift consequence in every single way, spiritually, physically, and monetarily. There won't be a comfort for any more people calling to say that a child is selling water, a little brown little girl selling water, and she doesn't have a permit, for a grown woman to do that because she doesn't want this little girl to make a little bit of money. How many of us had lemonade stands? Have you ever had the cops called when you had a lemonade stand? Have you ever, in a neighborhood, I come from neighborhoods where they do lemonade. My little ones, they like to do lemonade stands. Have you ever seen a lunar woman call little lunar children and call the police on lunar children selling lemonade in their neighborhood because they didn't have permits? Have you ever seen that? I don't know. Have you seen it? Maybe you have. Have you ever seen that? Okay. Everybody has a right to live and be happy. Everybody has a right for them to have children that they know will be safe and have every opportunity to be anything and everything they've ever desired and have qualified to be. That is a right that should be accepted. And if you feel any different about a brown person holding and having a right to hold arms, then I say you should look into your heart and realize that you are part of the problem. Because if you're allowed to sit comfortably and enjoy the amenities of the United States of America, then the next person who lives there should have the same opportunity as long as it's been allotted to them fairly and righteously. We won't sit complicit anymore, family. It's time. Picketing is not going to do it. Burning down your cities won't do it. There are other ways. We found some ways that I feel will be much more justifiably successful. I think if an officer knows that his pension is gone and that he can go into main population with the same criminals that he's placed in the police and jail, he wouldn't be so quick to hurt or harm anyone, knowing that there will be a swift consequence and he may be on the other hand of justice. I don't think any officer would feel so safe killing or murdering anyone if he felt like his family will be held hostage and will be held hostage until justice is done. I don't think he would feel safe hurting another person if he felt that that would happen. There are countries in South America, if a cop kills someone's family, that cop's family will be held for hostage. And sometimes they won't even have a family anymore after the situation is non-resolved. Am I stating this should happen? Absolutely not. Because why would we have an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth? How could that happen? But I'm just saying, there needs to be consequence for those who think it's okay to take someone else's life because they think that life means absolutely nothing. Let every life mean something. So if a breath is lost, someone else's breath should be restricted because of that. And their life should be ultimately changed forever. Justice isn't a word, it is an action. And the problem is you have people like Cuomo, I forgot the mayor, I keep saying these two people because they pissed me off tonight. They were reading the same teleprompter. It pissed me off. I'm listening to a mayor over in New York, and I'm listening to some of the same words, statements verbatim that the president, Cuomo said it, and the president of Atlanta said. Like, why am I hearing the same statement from different people? Why are you using the same terminology? Because you're basically parroting, teleprompting fanatical statements or statements that are being sent to you by Zionists. You can't even speak for yourself. You can't even have a real conversation without reading a teleprompter. I can't trust anybody who has to read a teleprompter, can you? Can you trust anyone who sits in front of a teleprompter and can't speak on their own behalf? This is the problem. You have people parroting other people's agendas. And best believe, let me explain this. This isn't a white-black issue. I don't like using those terms, but I'll use it for many who don't realize what I'm saying. This isn't a white-black issue. This is a Willy Wonka governmental issue. This is a Zionist issue. This isn't a white-black issue. Those are coups. Many people fight complexions. See, the problem is that these things have been happening for years, and they've been purposefully happening, so you can totally be blinded. You know, all caught up in your emotions. You know, I'm gonna fight you because you're dirty and you're a savage. I'm gonna fight you because you're egregious and you think you're better. All this fighting, at the end of the day, most normal Lunars and brown people don't have problems with each other. But the problem is you have a system that benefits off of that beef. They benefit off of the beef. You know, this has been called a race war. You know why? Because they spun it that way. When you find out that everybody was a Mason who was all in it, the guy who supposedly died, the guy who with the knee on the guy who almost died, the guy who was blocking, they're all Masons. Now, let me state this, let's be rational. Not all Masons, there are basic Mason people that just join Masons as like a fraternity.
I'm not talking about them. We know who we're talking about. We're talking about the dark cabal occultists that actually are part of the 33rd, usually part of the Scottish Rites. They're a whole nother sect. Okay, we're talking about them. We're not talking about Masons. I know Masons in New York City. They do the pledge. You're almost like, you know, it's like a fraternity for them. They're not engaged in a lot of activities that we would, you know, seem as a problem. They're all brown. I told you, the majority of people on the top who have the most money are brown people. Y'all don't believe me. The wealthiest people on this earth are brown and from Africa. How do you have a continent who has diamonds and gold and all kinds of minerals, and you think that all of the wealthiest people are in Europe? Absolutely zero. The wealthiest people are in Africa. That's why I tell you it is not a race war, because they allow other brown people to die. Look at Africa now. Look at Africa now. They will let a non-scientist, they will let Kruger, Billy Kruger Gates go into their country. He's not verified or not a doctor. He's not a scientist. They'll let him come to their country, and because they're complicit. They let them pay. The guys pay to go and distribute eugenics programs on their people to basically stop their birthing rates. You think the African diaspora don't know that they're doing that? Wait a second. Do you really think that the top tier of the African diaspora that has all the diamonds, all the minerals, that have they have a bigger continent than any continent on earth? They think that they don't know that they're killing their people? That's why it isn't a color thing. Because the top tier of the wealthiest people on this planet are brown. I've met them. They have wealth beyond measure, more than any sultan. They're hiding it, just like the wealthiest Europeans. They aren't the names that are out there in social media. The social media names are just meant to make you look in one way, and meanwhile, all the wealth is in another way. It's the Rothschilds. Oh, it's the Rockefellers. Those people don't have those names who are actually doing the dirt. Do you really think that? Do you think you have Rothschild? When's the last time you met a Rothschild? And let me ask my upper tier people. When's the last time you met a Rothschild? They don't even keep the name. That's for you. That's for the sheeple. So you go in that direction. The most advantageous, wealthiest, and the cruelest people on this earth, you haven't any clue of who they are. You don't even have a picture of who they are. You don't even know who their children are. Y'all are too busy listening to all social media. Oh, this person. I told you, I've met some of the wealthiest people on this earth, and they are from Africa. Their wealth, they have walls made of diamonds. They sell out their continent because they can. They see those brown people as peasants. That's why I'm saying it isn't a color war. If you knew that the people on top did that to their own, you would realize that it's all a setup. The only time it goes down to color is when they're trying to create coups here, and we fall victim to it. Anyway, I'm sorry I yelled at you. Let me apologize. I apologize for anyone. Let me say this, because I go a little left. I know I have new subscribers. They're like, she's a bad woman. She's going off. Let me say this. This is what I do, and it's just what it is. I love the planet. I am absolutely an advocate for making sure that we sustain this planet to the greatest and highest degree. I wish all of your children well. I hope that your children thrive. I hope that you're able to thrive. I want you to be well. I want you to be healthy. I don't care what tongue you speak. I don't care what complexion you are. I don't care if you came from another nationality. All I care is that if you are a healthy person and you wish well and you're good to everyone else, I just wish you to have a healthy, long, sustaining life with you and your families. Why I gave you some fun facts tonight, because I think a lot of people aren't aware of what happens to a lot of brown people.
And it's understandable because you wouldn't know those things unless you've been in households of brown people. I think, even with the sun on my wall, many of you've seen the sun on my wall, and the only people who ever ask me why I have a sun on my wall and that am I a Satanist, what do they call me, a Satanist or whatever, are Lunars. And the only reason they ask me that is because they've probably never been in a brown person's house or a Spanish person's house. That's all it is. We're very different. We come from very different cultural backgrounds, and it doesn't mean that we should be demonized or we should be subjugated to harm based on one person's lack of knowledge or just knowing. So that being said, when I get a little passionate, it's coming from a good spot, and I had some really exciting news tonight, and I wanted to share it. I think I shared it but I do share the share the fun spots with you because the fun facts, because I want you to know what's happened to a lot of brown people and why they have always been suspicious of others. I think if many Lunars would have known that brown babies were being taken from slave mothers and fed to alligators for alligator bait, I don't think you would feel so strongly about brown people acting a certain way. Okay? I don't think if you've had a chance to sit in the house of a mother who just lost her son to a cop that shouldn't be in his neighborhood, a cop that's living somewhere that probably has subjugation of, biases based on him not being around people like that, and her son is dead, a little boy that she gave birth to that's dead, and she has to walk past his room every day. If you sat there in her house as a Lunar in a house of a brown person and watched that mother cry herself to sleep every night, you would understand. You wouldn't say, oh, they're using the race card. You would be able to personalize and see the pain and know what that is to a mother. I'm grateful to have my children here. I'm grateful that they thrive. I'm grateful that my parents came to a country where we were successful, we did well, and we are safe. But I'm not okay with a lot of young people that don't have that. And it shouldn't be okay. And remember, I'm sitting here gratefully in a healthier situation, with my babies with me, safe and sound. I think every mother should have that right. So if you weren't able to see from another position, I hope I helped you see that now. Hate is really something that it's kind of bred, but it's allowed to thrive when people are silent. And I think a lot of times on social media, when you're seeing back-to-back, murders and young brown women disappearing or little girls getting raped, and you don't see your Lunar friends even caring or even bringing it up, it can be a little disheartening. Now, I know listen, I'm not talking to y'all. We talking to the choir. My Lunar homies on here, white, black, in between, we share each other's pain. We've broken bread together. So I'm speaking from a very different position where my friends, my family on here come from every nation. We cry each other's. When one of my sisters is sad, whether she's light or whether she's dark, my pain is her pain is mine. We've evolved past those complexionism issues. We have. I will say that on this platform. It's probably one of the only platforms you will see that, because we've gotten past that. But now we're starting to see it bleed, the matrix bleed over the disenfranchised and all the garbage that's been there. We now see it, and we're going to work through that together. So if brown people, I'll say this to you, there's so many different Lunars, let me state this. I'm a woman from the Caribbean. Be careful, because brown people could be so different. We have brown people from South Africa. We have brown people from New Guinea. We have brown people from Sierra Leone. We got brown people from Saudi Arabia. We got brown people from Pakistan and India. We got brown people living in Sweden. We got brown people living in Hawaii and Polynesian Islands. We got brown people living in the Bronx and Milwaukee. Just be careful. And the brown people live in the Caribbean. We're very different. So for some of our lunars who are not used to many of us being a multitude of different cultures, we have different cultures just like Europeans do. Okay? So, be careful lumping us all together. My personal background, I'm Creole. I come from the French Caribbean. My first language was French. I didn't speak English until roughly around 4. You would know that now because I'm a woman of a certain age and I've grown up. I grew up in New York. Many of you know I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm very candid about my background. I'm very proud of where I came from. And, a lot of times I have cultural things that you'll see come on here and you'll be like, oh my God, Fleurbrun's so, sexually, I could say things that are, because I'm Creole. So we're a little more, we're a little more fruitful in how we discuss certain things. But that's a cultural thing. It makes me very different, makes me unique, and it's okay. And many of you have the same things, and I respect that. Just know that brown people come from different walks of life. And if you haven't experienced that before, I hope that at least if you come to this platform, you get a chance to meet many of our different colorful diaspora. As we know, many different Europeans. I have European family in, Sweden. We have our Norway family, our family in Germany. We have our family in Hungary. We have our family in, where else? In Ireland, especially Shannon. And we have our family in Portugal. We have our family in Spain and France, We have our European family in Australia. We have many different types of fair-skinned people, many different backgrounds, many different types of tongues. One is not better than the other. One doesn't quantify it as being more worthy than the other. So it's the same with brown people.
Listen,
So,
birthday is right around the corner. Yeah. And this year,
wait. Think of President Trump's birthday. I'm sorry, family. What would you like? Oh, you would need the charger? Oh, yes, you can have it. You can take it. My little ones. I see they're getting ready for President Trump's birthday. So I just wanted to set that there. And that's what I'm saying. If this is a new time you're coming to my channel and you see a lot of passion coming, I come from a beautiful platform, which some of the most amazing women and men on this platform, they humble me. They've been a party to this platform for a while. We're pretty much a family. That's why you hear us. You'll see a lot of times a lot of them will talk to one another. We're very close-knit, and it's a privilege to come to this platform, and I'm grateful that many people have decided to join us from other platforms. But sometimes I have to reintroduce myself if you've never met me before. It might be a little shocking, the things that come out of my mouth, and I want to kind of just at least introduce myself in a way that is a little more balanced. All right, family. So it looks like we've got some support coming on. Okay, we have some support from very powerful people that have decided that they don't like this. What's crazy is that I've talked about some of the celebrities not participating and helping, and I want to retract that statement because there are some who have a silent voice, well, not a silent voice, a silent hand right now who have decided to participate. They heard me call them out, so y'all know who you are. They heard me call them out saying y'all ain't doing anything, and apparently they want to be the change they want to see in the world, and they want to assist. They have the financial means to assist those who don't have legal representation, who are getting harassed and suffering from traumatic injury from being perpetually traumatized by law enforcement in their neighborhoods. That is a form of tyranny, and that causes post-traumatic stress. I don't know if many of you have ever lived in the hood before, but walking every day scared that not only that you could be harmed in your neighborhood, but that if a civil servant that you pay taxes for to protect you could at any moment pull you over for any reason, whether it's valid or not, and you may not go home that night. That is a form of terrorism, and there shouldn't be any person who is subjugated to that on a daily basis. That is a form of terrorism that is internal, and also, the genocide is absolutely qualified to be addressed legally. Okay? When you have an entirety of a country and every part of the country's governmental system is allowing under a quiet thumb to allow for I think it's over 15,000. Yes, 15,000. Oh, how many? Can someone give me the number? I know someone gave me the number. I think it was over 15,000 young brown women have gone missing within just the last 3 months. Was it? No. Someone give me the number. I don't want to put the number on there. Someone gave me the numbers. I think it was 15,000 within the states. I think it was 15,000. Someone, if you have the numbers, you could put the numbers on there. I think it was 15,000 in the last 3 months. That's a lot. And I don't think any of you know or have seen that on the. Have any of you seen that on the news? Has anyone seen how many young brown women, Latina brown women, have been gone missing? Has anyone have you heard of that? Okay. Have you heard the fact that a lot of these brown women have been taken for their organs? Do you guys know that organ harvesting is a systematic issue globally? That most brown men and women that are kidnapped aren't just used for sex slavery, but they're used for organ harvesting. Do many of you know this? Okay. If you didn't know this, I'm sharing this with you. This is fact. You can always, and I always tell you, don't believe anything I say. Go research it. Okay? This is a problem. And this is why genocide is why they're going to be charged. And they will pay for that. If you allow people to be subjected to tyranny in their own neighborhoods, subjected to citizens calling police on them for living their lives, if you're going to subject them to being pulled over, and, you know, we had a pregnant, last story, I know this is going to be a tearjerker, but I know a lot of you mamas need to hear this. This is for the mamas. One of our sea stars, she was pregnant. And we know what it's like to be pregnant. Big up to all my pregos in the house. You know when we have to pee, right? You know, I keep it very real on here. So, you know, when we're pregnant. So she had to pee like a racehorse, okay? And she was 7.5 months pregnant. 8.5 months pregnant. She was at that like pinnacle point. And she happened to go through a light. You know, I don't know if many of you pregnant, listen, a lot of us know what that's like. I remember hitting a car when I was pregnant because I was just off. A lot of my preggies know this. She happened to go through a light and the officer pulled her over. She said to him that she was in desperate need to go to the bathroom. She was having, you know, the baby was leaning on the side. It was really bad. She went through the light. She said she'll give all the registration. The cop detained her and said for her to get out of the car, and she was so terrified that she got out of the car and peed all over herself, and actually because of the stress, the plug from the baby, she ended up breaking water right then and there, and he would not believe her, and she ended up going into preterm labor. She was, I think 3 to 4 weeks early. She went into preterm labor. And he still wouldn't allow her to call her husband because I guess the paperwork wasn't in the car. She's like a mom who's pregnant. Wasn't in the car. He held her there. The baby was coming down and she was in pain. He kept her there. And then when she went to the hospital, the baby's cord was wrapped around the baby's neck. The baby survived. But this is the type of tyranny that brown people go under. Okay? These aren't the stories that you're going to hear on the news, family. Did you hear about that story? Anybody hear about that story on the news of the mother she was terrified and she actually went into did anybody hear that on the news? Was that promoted on the news to you? Right? She went into preterm labor. The plug actually released. She was so stressed out. She peed all over herself. She had pee all over herself, and then the water dropped because she was so scared. She was terrified of her life. She's pregnant. Anybody who's been pregnant, you know that. And the cord was wrapped around the baby's left. The baby was born blue because he did not allow her to go and get help. Okay? And this was a lunar male who would not let his wife get treated that way. Okay? He saw her as a subhuman. He didn't allow her the same liberties as he would want somebody to treat his wife, and the baby could have died. Okay? But these aren't the stories that you will hear. That's what I'm saying. When we tell you false flag stories, anytime they're promoting a story like what happened with Floyd, that's being sent to you to do something because they don't tell you the real. There's stories, horrific stories of brown people and brown women, especially women, being subjugated to harsh abuses. You know, you had the 15-year-old girl. I think many of you saw the video. I think I cried for 2 days when I saw the video of the young brown girl. She was, you know, she's part of, she did a little petty crime. She stole something in the store. The lunar cop, white cop, went inside of the cell and pulled down her pants and raped her. She was a virgin, raped her viciously. And he was never brought up on charges. It was actually, he was brought up on charges later. It was all on video. And they actually didn't put him up on charges. It was another brown officer who released the video, raped her viciously. A 15-year-old girl, I think she stole like
now laters or something, or like a little plaything. Raped her viciously. Young lady, you see her screaming. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. 2 days I cried. Okay? So for those who believe that there isn't such thing, and you say to us you're using a race card, I think you should be quiet. Okay, because if that's not been your experience, you should be grateful, because it's about to be your experience now, because everyone's going to experience that kind of darkness in this next World War G. Remember, that happened to little brown girls, but now you're going to start to see others experience the same thing that was complicitly allowed for others. See, when you don't speak up and you don't know these things, you shouldn't allow for others what you wouldn't allow for yourselves. There's no mother in here or no father. I know we have plenty of fathers in here who would think it's okay for his little girl to be in a cell, and a grown man think it okay to just rape her viciously and without a condom. Okay? So we don't even know if she ever turned out pregnant. Okay? These are the crime stories. So genocide is a fair charge for the war crimes against people in this country that have been demonized, propagandaed as being savages and animals, projected in a public eye by all nations as monkeys, calling them monkeys, watermelon eaters, nappy-haired, whatever things. That this is a regular global occurrence. Genocide is what we're filing. Okay, so I think these are the stories that have to be told. Nobody wants to hear them, but there's a lot of people who will go around complicit and say that doesn't happen. These are things you could verify. You can actually look up these stories if you think these are lies. Okay? And if you think that now that you know that that's true, maybe don't ever say to a brown person that you're using a race card, because that's insane to even say that. That's a level of disrespect that you don't want karmically to come back to you and yours. Okay? So I know I shared a lot with you, and I know it was hard, and I hope this was helpful. Again, C-stars, mostly C-stars. I know our men they will get arms if they're legal and so on, but I'm asking for all of our C-stars. Oh, also, wait, I had another one. I forgot about this. It's a little horrific, though. But in Creole, this is why I'm a Creole, too. This is why you get this information, because I'm a Creole, and I always talk about sex. We are trying to see if we can get the rape inserts for our young women and see if we can donate those to the urban community women, so that if they get raped, the men's penises will be ripped off. So we're trying to see. I know you guys were like, she just laughed. Yes, there is an insert that goes inside of the woman's vagina. I forgot what it's called. We're trying to see if we can get the company to donate this to Africa. Some of the countries in Africa are going to get it. We're going to see if we can get this donated to a lot of our young women, especially now when you have Willy Wonka and his League of Doom, because they're animals. A lot of these men will rape women for less. We want to see if we can get that. If other women see, if you're working for the company, or the company that has the actual, if you have, we can get a deal or something like that. We want to see if we want to donate this to the young women so that we can keep them safe, okay? Because right now, during the time when you have a lot of this infiltration of a lot of men, boots on ground, we know what they do in other countries when they're raping Afghani women and little girls. So rather than we have any of these sad stories of women being raped, also, again, we don't know what kind of animalistic behavior will come from, just being in a more bound situation. So if anyone knows, hit me up on my email. We want to see if we can donate to certain areas where there's a large rape issue, and also to see if we can get discounts for women that can just, if you have certain neighborhoods where you feel like maybe you could just take care of your area, so we'll get discounts on areas where women can have this. I'm part of the prepper community. This is what comes with knowing a Fleurbrun. I will definitely do things in favor of our young sea stars. I want to protect their wombs. I want to make sure they aren't being raped during this time. Nobody talks about the rape of women during war. It's very important for you to stand armed and use your Second Amendment rights, and also that you have something to protect you from being violated sexually, okay? I think a lot of times if these men had a chance, and like I said, if you got one of them in you, if you vicious like that, let him stick it in and let his penis get ripped right off. He would deserve it, okay? And then you do what you got to do to him. Like I said, you come for me and mine, there won't be any breathing. That's not a threat. That's a promise. I got a lot of pent up anger from years of Alien interaction. Because you got a lot of pedophiles out here, okay? And because you have a lot of pedophiles out here and they may not have access to their normal children or what have you, you need to protect your little ones, okay? So, yeah, I make jokes about it, but this is very serious. So, you know, again, if anybody doesn't know what it is, it's actually an insert. It actually has, if a man sticks anything inside of you, it rips his wand, you know, it tears his wand. So he ends up suffering. So, you know, I think this is a wonderful thing to have during this time. And like I said, I'm going to try to see if we can find out if someone works for the distributor. We talked about that earlier. I talked about that with one of the my attorney friends about that, to see if we can get that. So if anybody knows anything about it, please send me information. We want to get it out to the young sea stars in every country. I don't want it to just be here. A lot of women are living abroad. I know a lot of times in Europe, you have a lot of hostile men from other countries, especially in Sweden and Denmark. It would be very much a service if we can also see if we can get this for our Swedish and Denmark women, and Holland as well, and outside certain places where there's a lot of hostile men. So we have to make sure that we're protecting them as well. So this isn't just in the United States. I want to make sure our sisters abroad are able to have that also in the Middle East. We can see if we can do this as a collective and make sure we can have this disseminated or a discount so that we know where they can purchase it, and maybe those communities can do a mass purchase and distribute it to the young ladies and women of, you know, of concern, okay? So this is something that we can actually take a chance, something to do. Alaska has the highest rate of cases. Thank you, Bright Lily. You know what? Then we're going to make sure that it's called the Rape Act. Thank you, Caroline. Caroline has the name. It's called the Rape Act. You know what? We're going to see if we can get the women of Alaska. Whoever has the information, anybody from Alaska, if you're from Alaska, see if we can get a collective together and maybe get some of the ladies together to be able to do that. Tons missing as well. I know Alaska has a lot of women that go missing. A lot of perverts live in Alaska. A lot of vampiric type of people. And there's a big pedophile sect there too. So if we can, it's not a it's like a condom, but it's like a almost like a, what would you say? It's like latex, almost like I don't know, it's like rubbery, but it's hard. Like the inside is soft, but the you know what, insert is fine. I forgot the material. It was like a, I don't know. Oh, let me make another announcement as well before I go. I've got to go. I know I've taken up your time today. I know I started with fire now. Like I said, I yelled at you guys for like a good 45 minutes, but excuse me. What was I going to say? Oh, there was something else I was supposed to tell you. Oh, we have decided to do our shields a little earlier. For anyone who's joining our shields, we're going to do another shield because a lot of our sea stars are feeling unsafe. They want to take that collective energy and put another shield on us before our 13th. We always do our 13th shield, but we're going to actually do our shield on the lunar eclipse, which is powerful. The lunar eclipse brings a lot of like endings and beginnings. So the lunar eclipse. So big up to Ada. Ada was the one who suggested it. So we're definitely going to do another shield. We'll do another collective shield. During a shield, for those who are newer to the platform, we come together as a collective. We do a mantra. If you're not for it, it's okay. But we do it to protect our families, ourselves, the planet, the animals, everything as a collective. And it has worked for many different years. And we lay claim that we were unraveling a lot of the pedophile rings by doing so, making sure these pedophile rings were disclosed, and many consequences came from that. I personally think we've done it for years. So we're going to do it on I think the eclipse is on the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. I think someone verified. I think it's on the 5th. If I'm not wrong, can someone, I think it's on the 5th. June 5th, thank you, Bikini Junkie. Okay, June 5th, we're gonna do it on June 5th. We'll do it, you know, we do our 1 o'clock mark, we come here as a collective, we always join in. We'll do it because I think this is very necessary. I think we have to be the change we see in the world, and I feel like we can protect ourselves, and we put that shield up, it always works. And many of my sea stars are feeling a certain way. My sun stars too. Our sun stars join us, they do. But it's really for the sea stars. Sea stars like to join it. So, so let's make sure that we come in for the 5th, and we'll do our shield. I'll see which shield. I usually have one that I use for Cypher. I'll see if I can use that shield for us for for that lunar eclipse, okay? So, you know, we'll see how that goes. All right, family, so I've talked to you. My lipstick is done. I'm ready. I'm actually ready to go to sleep now. And again, this was all for the, you know, I hope that I'm being helpful. My hope is that I want to be helpful. And I'm hoping that me sharing this isn't hurting you or harm you. That isn't my intent. It's to empower you. So, you know, sea stars, please. I always give you the warnings ahead of time. Please, if you are able and you are legally able to get a firearm, this is the time that I tell you to practice your Second Amendment rights. Many other women would love to have the privilege of what we have here. Okay? Do that, because my concern is your safety, and I want to make sure that you can stand to protect yourself, because this is a second wave, and the next wave is going to be something else. And we didn't get into that, but I'm kind of late into the conversation. So I love you. Have an amazing night. Enjoy. Love yourself. Give yourself all the love and necessary rest and nourishment. We're in amazing time, and in amazing times we're going to be called to be amazing people. Be the change you want to see in the world and make your ancestors proud. I'm making my father proud by doing this, and I feel it in everything that I do, and my grandmother. So I do it for my ancestors, and I also do it for the collective. All right, family? So I love you. Take care, and we shall reconvene, not tomorrow. All right. Love you. Peace.